Hello everybody, welcome back to the James Lawrence Allcott channel. Oh my good God, for God's sake, why is it always 0-0 every game I do? Oh. Anyway, welcome back to the James Lawrence Allcott channel. I hope you're doing well. I'm trying something very, very different here. So what I'm going to do is, I'm talking to you right now live on the James Lawrence Allcott channel. So if you are with me live right now, I actually just looked at my subs. My subs are 68,916. So in this stream, we could, I'm asking a lot, but we've currently got got a good number of people watching. So we can hit 69,000 in this stream. So I'm going to check back right at the end. But if you're feeling really, really generous and you want to make someone happy tonight, because that was a really good 0-0. That was a really good 0-0. But I am just on a run. Every game I do a match reaction to. And look, it was a fascinating game. We're going to get into all of that. But I can get myself to 70,000 tonight. It can happen tonight. So if you are feeling generous, hit the subscribe button. Hit it right now. Do me a favor and hit the like button as well. It helps me absolutely massively. So please do that for me. So what I'm going to do here is I recorded my first half or half-time reaction. I also recorded my reaction to the lineups before the game. This is turning into a bit of a social experiment now, because I'm going to be reacting to the lineups and then half-time, and then I will come back and be actually here live and chat to you guys about the game. Let me know your thoughts. Obviously, you got the super chats there if you want to make sure I read them. But otherwise, I'll be having a look at the chat here. I want to hear from you, Liverpool fans. I want to hear from you, Man United fans. And I want to hear from the neutrals as well, because you're able to see it differently. So, yeah, lots and lots of reactions. It's going to be mad. So, without further ado, here is my reaction to the first half and also to those lineups. Okie dokie, the teams are in. I'm just going to give a reaction to that as well, because I just think they are really, really interesting. This is before the game has kicked off, remember. Those are the teams there. You've got Fabinho, Henderson playing at centre-back. Shaqiri comes in, and it looks like Salah's going to play up top. For Man United, the big move. For me, I wanted to see Cavani up there. They've gone with Martial instead, and Bailly gets dropped for Lindelof, which is a bit of a gamble, sure. But for me, I think the really interesting thing for both teams is going forward more so than at the back. Because although saying that, when you look at Liverpool, I'm just fascinated to see. First of all, I think Henderson playing centre-back is a mistake. You look at that midfield, and it's not a midfield that dominates games. This is such a gamble from Jurgen Klopp. I'm fascinated to see if this one works out. But what I think he's trying to do here is to freeze these four. I think he's looking to freeze the four players of Man United here, and to create space there and to create those wide runners from the likes of Mane. I said this in my tactical preview. Salah, he might actually still start out here instead of being that kind of clear focal point. But what I did say again in my preview was this area here, when they sit in front of them, that makes it really easy. So it's going to be really congested in there. But I feel like Shaqiri's going to have that bit of a free roll and kind of almost trying to confuse the midfield and overrun them in midfield, because you'll have someone like Salah making these deep runs here, getting involved. He'll probably be the one who does that more so. Mane starting here and then moving inside and letting Robertson go. Like I said, Firmino's so important, because I think defensively and attacking wise, Firmino's going to be crucial in everything, because I feel like he's got to do a lot of running to make up for the fact that Shaqiri is not as good on the press as the opposition. But it might be one of those with Shaqiri that they're trying to kind of, can you give me 60 minutes, Shaqiri? And for Liverpool, the one thing that he has done here is going on the front foot massively. If I'm Liverpool, if I'm a Liverpool fan, I'm nervous about Henderson at centre back and the loss that you get in that midfield. He's going full on attacking in this one. They've gone with Martial instead of Cavani. The big talking point for me is, where's Pogba playing and where's Rashford playing? I want Rashford on this left hand. Shut up. I want Rashford on this left hand side, but I don't know if that's going to happen. And if that is the case, then Pogba's got to play on this right hand side. Maybe Fernandes will go and do the work there, and Pogba will sit in here, and it might
no
still
one
be
knew what was going on with this
round.
lineup, right?
But I'm not sure, man. I'm not sure about this at all. I think Man United, you've got to be licking your lips here. You've got a real chance. Liverpool, this is the sign to see if they've got another way of winning and beating teams. I like the idea of Salah being that guy who's always going to be going beyond. I did say as well, Firmino's going to need to drop deeper and deeper to try and kind of displace and confuse and almost freeze McTominay and Fred. But I guess if you double up in there, it'll be interesting to see what the average positions are at half time to see where Shaqiri plays, both with the ball and without the ball. It might lead, if you can play Pogba on this left-hand side, if Shaqiri goes and works in these central areas, there could be a lot of space for Pogba to then let fly and bring in the likes of Martial over the top. Shut up! Well, what I'm repeating is that Pogba's got something. Siri, do one, son. So there you go. Those are the lineups. Fast. You are. I'm actually going to throw you. Go away. I'll talk to you at half-time about this. Shaqiri coming in for me feels like a mistake. Henderson playing at centre-back when you could get the best out of him in midfield feels like a mistake for me right now. But Jurgen Klopp normally knows better than I do. Let's see what is happening at half-time. Here is my half-time reaction. Right then, guys, 0-0 at half-time. Fascinating all the same. I'm going to get into this in a big way because I've got my tactics board, I've got my stats. Let's kick off with the stats first up. Overall, Liverpool dominating the first half of that half. Possession-wise, 66% to 34%. 9 shots to the 1 of Manchester United. That free kick from Fernandes nearly going in, but not going in. But his influence on the game has been really, really low. I think this tells it all. Thiago, 47 passes in it, completely running the game from that quarterback position. You scroll down a bit, Bruno Fernandes and Rashford not involved at all. Fernandes in particular not getting on the ball, which is a problem because Rashford, we understand he's playing on the last man. They're looking to exploit the lack of pace of Fabinho and Henderson. But Fernandes needs to be getting on the ball. The few times that he's got the ball, you can see his passing accuracy is 44% as well. That he's really struggling to get involved in the game. And this is where I come back to the fact that I believe Cavani would just be so integral to Man United in the second half if they are to put him on, because I don't think Martial's doing that much for them from a defensive point of view, because you've got Fred going over to double up a lot of the time, and generally they're just being very careful in how they're defending at the back here. Martial, I get it on this left-hand side looking to exploit, but really Fernandes needs to get involved. And I wonder if you put Cavani on, if you got Cavani on, put Rashford over on that left-hand side, his movement's just so great. And then you've got that backboard in Cavani to look to get on the ball and then look to get Fernandes on the ball. Like I said, not touching it at all. In this game, I thought Solskjaer quite brave in how he set up. The fact that none of us could pick it, I think is a really impressive thing for Solskjaer, because he's on a great run here, so he doesn't need to go and do that. So he deserves credit for that. Fred and McTominay breaking the press at times. I've been surprised by them. And the one thing I would have a go at Thiago for is, I think sometimes he's being a little bit too combative. I don't think he needs to get involved. Maybe sometimes he's a bit nervous about Shaqiri here, but I feel like Fabinho and Henderson need that protection to make sure that it's not just one pass. There was a moment on the left-hand side. Fred was able to... Shaqiri was on his way back, I think he was over here. Fred was able to get past Thiago, who looked to try and make that tackle, and then they were in. I don't think you need to do that if you're Liverpool. The game changed for me at about 30 minutes. Actually, I wrote it down. 28 minutes is where it changed. And the reason it changed for me was because of this. Because Mane went over to this right-hand side and Salah went over to the left-hand side. Klopp decided to swap them. Wijnaldum, I thought, for the first 20 minutes was my man of the match. They couldn't live with him. And Pogba in particular was playing on this right-hand side, which I think we're all a little bit surprised by. Just was losing that battle. He was getting overrun. The overloads on this left-hand side when you got Wijnaldum there, Thiago getting involved as well, Henderson being an option. I thought it was a matter of time, and it was a sort of death of 1,000 cuts from Liverpool. But they weren't obviously getting the goal. But I felt like it was coming. But once they moved those two, they swapped them round. You had Salah kind of picking up the ball and then running into Wijnaldum's space, so Wijnaldum has to get out of the way. And I just think it all started to get a bit messy, and that kind of controlled possession that Liverpool are going with, which I think is their best. It's their best route to winning this game. I don't think it's your normal counter-attack, go. I think they need to just, because they can beat the press. The amount of times I've seen Fabinho and Henderson just walking past almost Martial, Rashford and Fernandes, they're getting past here really, really easily. So I don't think a lot of the time you're seeing these long passes from them, and I don't think you need to see them. Trent Alexander-Arnold. Let's have a look at the accuracy of their passes. Look, Liverpool dominating, of course, because they're dominating possession. But I think, there you go. Where is it? Where is Trent? Oh, God. Well, there you go. It says it already. The amount of... Trent, sorry, there you go. Trent, 81% possession. He's been accurate with his passes. I just feel like often... if there's that switch to Robertson, go and do it. But otherwise, I don't think they need to play these long passes into this congested central area that they're looking to do a lot of the time. I think they can just calmly work their way down this side with Mane and Robertson. Or again, with Shaqiri getting involved in these areas here, you can use Salah and create the overload on this side as well. Because if that happens, Fred's got to come over, and then you've got more runners. Wijnaldum's doing absolutely everything in his box to box, but he almost lost the sort of quality that you could have from him because you brought Salah over to this side. Salah needs to come back onto the left-hand side. Mane needs to go onto this side. For me, I would take off. I feel like Cavani needs to get on the pitch here. I look at the substitutes for Man United. I look at the substitutes for Man United, and that's where I lose it a little bit, because maybe Donny van der Beek comes on for a Paul Pogba here and just offers up that little bit of extra kind of juice. Do you know what I mean? Because I think Pogba's often trying to play that one killer pass, and that might work. The first goal in this game is absolutely huge. Absolutely huge. If Liverpool score it, then I think I don't see anyone else winning the game. I can't see Man United not getting back into it, but I think they'll just completely dominate the rest of the game. But if Man United can get it, and again I say this, I just feel like you need to work your way up the pitch. If Thiago's kind of getting involved and being combative, then you can get past that line, get the ball in here, pop it off, and then play that next ball in. I don't think you need to rush it. But you do need to be able to beat the press, because generally McTominay and Fred don't want to pick up the ball here too much. McTominay I've been really impressed with, though, to be fair to him. But I feel like that out ball would just be so much more useful instead of this really long pass that they're trying to make all the time to Rashford. I think there's a better way of doing it. And I think the better way of doing that is bringing on the likes of Cavani, to have that hold-up play, to bring that hold-up play. I just think it would be huge. For Liverpool, like I've said, I think you've just got to completely just trust the fact that you have a whole team here that is littered with midfielders and attacking players. You're literally not really playing a single defender in this game. So enjoy that. Stop the long passes. Stop forcing it. And I think they'll get their rewards in the end. They'll get a goal, because I think just popping it about is enough, especially when you've got the likes of Shaqiri in this game, because you need to play to his strengths. And the long balls over the top, or sort of mid-range balls over the top to Firmino, Salah, or Mane, it's not on, because Lindelof and Maguire are looking for it, because they got the protection of Fred and McTominay. In the second half, what's going to happen? Oh, God. This could be 0-0. It could be 1-1. I can't see. It could go either way. If Liverpool get back to the way that they were playing in the first 15 minutes, I think it's theirs, because I think they can also bring on the likes of Milner to keep it moving. Can Shaqiri last 90 minutes? I'm not sure. Maybe there's a space here for Minamino where you continue the same idea. Oxlade-Chamberlain could be useful as well as the game opens up. But yeah. It's fascinating. It's fascinating. If you made me predict, I think that the control of Liverpool, I think it might even finish 1-1, because I just think I think Man United have got something in their arsenal to get themselves a goal. No, 1-1 I'm going with. No. What a ramble. What a ramble. Right, so there you have it. That was a reaction to the lineups, where I think we all kind of got this wrong. Now get your questions in. Let me know what your thoughts are on the game. We'll dive into all of this stuff. When it was the reactions to the lineups, I thought, where's Pogba going to be? Where's Martial going to play here? Where's Rashford going to play in here? At the end of it all, of course, we saw that Rashford was the main man up front, and they just basically looked to go long, looked to go quite direct. At half-time, I was saying that this is what I think is fascinating about these half-time, full-time reactions, is the idea that, are you right? Could you have called it yourself and done not better than the manager, of course, because they know more than you. But making those kind of seeing the things before they happen. For me, I wanted Cavani at the start and I wanted him at half time. And I don't think he was the only reason why Man United seemed to take charge in the last 15 minutes. I felt like it was like the title of this video. I just felt like Liverpool was so predictable. So predictable. And the predictability of it, for me, was the long balls. Let's have a look at the stats. For the stats of this game, 65% possession to Liverpool, 17 shots to 18. 8 of those blocked, though, for a Man United team that obviously were just careful in what they were doing and got their game plan right. Overall, defensively, they were pretty sound. I feel like Liverpool kind of, they're so, the muscle memory of how they play, the switches of passing, the long balls, all of those things that I think you can do when you've got Van Dijk and then Henderson in front of this midfield. And in my preview, I said I wanted Henderson in this team. And Henderson played brilliantly. But the midfield, you kind of lose that a little bit. That's just been refreshed here. So 65% possession, 17 shots. But yeah, look, importantly, 4 shots on target for Man United. 8 offsides, which highlights obviously what Rashford was doing in this game. But 6 shots, only 3 shots on target from Liverpool in this game. So Man United got it right. And big chances as well. Man United, 2 huge chances. And it could have been even worse with Fabinho coming on in this one. Fabinho making an amazing tackle and block right at the start of the second half. And then Pogba having a chance, Alisson saving him there. Fernandes had an amazing chance. Alisson got them out of trouble there as well. It was Man United, they sort of hung in there. And I tell you what, Solskjaer, he held his nerve. And my opinion of it is that you're better off having Cavani on initially and then bringing on Martial second half. I still believe I would have been right in that because I just think Cavani brings so much to this Man United team in games against teams that you're not going to dominate the ball because he sucks players in. That's the thing with him. I just think he's such a great player, such a great signing for them because before when you had Rashford up top, the 2 centre-backs for Liverpool, they knew that it was this way. It was this way. It was this way the whole time. And if you look at the average positions of at half-time, before Cavani came on, it just meant Fernandes wasn't involved. Fernandes was barely touching the ball. Pogba was sort of playing these long passes. Fernandes playing these long passes. And it's kind of all-or-nothing football. Whereas actually, if you overload them on the counter-attack by having someone like Cavani here and you sucks players in, Rashford goes beyond, Fernandes can either help him out here or go beyond as well. I just thought Man United were a much better side once that happened. In terms of sort of players who played well for me, I thought Henderson and Fabinho, to be fair to them, did absolutely brilliant in a game where they were, yes, at times they looked exposed for sure, but I think also at the same time, you've got to say that they did everything that was asked of them and didn't really make too many changes. It was when they were kind of trying to force it forward. For Man United, I've got to say, Luke Shaw was brilliant. Luke Shaw was absolutely brilliant. I thought Maguire stuck to the task. Obviously, like a naughty little dive at one point. I know people get a bit annoyed at things like that. But Luke Shaw, to keep Mohamed Salah as quiet as he did, I thought was probably my man of the match. I just think, like I said at my halftime reaction, 28 minutes, you had all the momentum, Liverpool, and you were recycling the ball again and again and getting past Man United. And of course, Man United would have changed it, might have made it harder. But these long passes from Liverpool have got to chill out. Long passes, if you're going to switch the play, be it Henderson to Robertson, Trent to Robertson, that's fine. But when it comes to those long balls into the likes of Firmino, whose confidence is low, or I mean, even with Salah and Mane, there's so little space in behind. There's so little space in behind that once everyone retreats, initially they had it right because Shaqiri was in those spaces, Wijnaldum was in those spaces, and you were creating overloads 3-on-2 here with Mane and Robertson. Wijnaldum sits on Pogba, who defensively is always poor. He switches off. Firmino had some great chances in this game, or some opportunities, and just couldn't do it. But the way they had it set up was fine. But when they then make all these players come narrow, you're not creating those overloads anymore. And when Alexander-Arnold gets the ball, we know what they're going to do. That's the problem for Liverpool. And it's becoming a severe problem now because that's 3 games now that they haven't scored a goal. These long passes, they're just pointless. Robertson is a little bit different because these are more thought out crosses in better areas. But for Trent to keep making those passes, it's just not working when you've got the likes of Lindelof and Maguire. You're not going to win any of those headers. It seems silly. Just work these channels. And then you're in the box, and then you've got a dribbler like Salah who can go and make things happen. For me, there's a real problem here with Liverpool. A real problem. I'm going to go to the chat in a minute. Intrigued to know what you guys think about all of this, because I just think for Liverpool, this is the fact that they couldn't get out of that rhythm, or to be honest, they totally lost their rhythm. That's got to be the scary thing if you're a Man United fan for me. I'm going to the chat now. Let's fascinated to hear what you guys think about this. Let me know what your thoughts are on this game, and we'll get into it. Let's do it. Ramos is still better. We need Fab and Hendo back in midfield. That's what I said before the game. I said you've got to. I understand that he's probably got more depth in midfield, and so with that he went with Shaqiri. And this team could have won this game if they'd stuck to the 5-yard passing, working round and isolating Pogba on that right hand side for the rest of that first half. I think they would have got their rewards. And look, I know I'm talking a lot about Man United at the moment, but I think Man United were Liverpool, but Liverpool were more of the aggressors, I would say, in this game. Obviously Man United were looking to play on the counter attack. I think for Man United, just to concentrate on them for a second again, I thought Maguire and Lindelof were great, and they seem to always be great in these big games. But I think the reason they're great is because of Fred and McTominay. And I think also you're kind of safeguarding yourself a little, just a touch, against the sort of frailties of Pogba, who, if you play him in that double pivot, a lot of people are saying, play Pogba there because that's where you get the best out of him. I disagree when it comes to these big games. Paul Pogba, you almost need him out of the way of the defensive responsibilities of the game, because I just don't think he's got it, right? I just don't think he's got that defensive brain to going to go, oh, there's a problem here, let me cover it. Oh, there's a problem here, let me cover it. But Scott McTominay in midfield, superb. He's really, really grown as the season's gone on. And of the two, he's one of the first names on the team sheet. I think if you're going McTominay and Fred, it's Fred who's the one that might make way. His confidence has gone through the roof. And so when he's getting pressed sometimes, he's actually better than he's ever been before. McTominay as well. Not to the same standard as Thiago, for sure. But there's Klopp's got some problems here. And I think, look, it can be tweaked somewhat. But they need to start scoring goals because they are so predictable at the moment. So predictable at the moment. Right, guys. Any questions? Get them in. Obviously, if it's a super chat, then I'll see it straight away. Great in big games. They've lost 4 semi-finals. You know what I mean. By these Premier League games so far, the Man City game, since that Spurs game, they've played McTominay and Fred in front of them, and they've had that safety net, and all they've got to worry about is a ball over the top or winning their headers. They aren't getting sucked in. That's what I mean about the recycling that was good in the first 20 minutes from Liverpool, because they were making them stand still. And that's what Man United did brilliantly when they brought Cavani on, in my opinion, and probably should have won the game. In terms of chances, when Cavani comes on, it makes Henderson and Fabinho, instead of getting on their bike, it just sucks everyone together and then allows that sort of line of pace behind for the runners of Fernandes and Rashford. So, Ryan Shearer, do you think Jota would have made a difference through the middle? I think maybe you can attack with a bit more fluency, and maybe Thiago at times Thiago's one of those where you can almost risk it because his reading of the game's so good. And he's so good at looking after the ball that you can have another player further forward. Jota's work rate and pace might have been really useful in this game to be able to be quicker in transition. But I kind of understand why Shaqiri played. I think it's in the press after that you kind of wanted to see a little bit more from the midfield. And again, I just think you take one piece of that midfield out of the puzzle, and the kind of the recycling of all of them, sort of the movement of all of them, it's diminished. You know, if you're going to be a little bit more predictable in the style of play, then you better be really good at it. And I think you missed that with someone like Henderson, who, again, I thought he was brilliant. I thought he was brilliant at centre-back. But you just miss so much from him as a leader in midfield. And I think you're seeing this. AK the producer, do you think Bruno is the best player in the Premier League? I don't. Not at all. And the reason I say that is only because of... Well, I mean, look, let's look at this performance. If he scores the goal, he gets all the headlines. But he was actually really poor today. He was really, really poor. Let's have a look at his passing stats. I bet they were pretty terrible. I haven't looked at them just yet. So let's see what they are. I bet you his passing stats were bad. He barely touched the ball in the first half. Accurate passing. Scroll down. I mean, look, he was a little bit isolated. You weren't really getting the ball to him, but 58% of his passes, 58%. And look, I'm not having a go at him completely because he takes those risky passes. But I thought in this game he wasn't great. I think Kevin De Bruyne is still the best player in the league by a mile, to be honest. Because I think, like, if you look at his XG, you look at his stats, maybe he's not scoring as many goals at the moment, but his total dominance of a game. I think in these games sometimes, and maybe it's down to the defensive midfielders not being as comfortable picking up the ball as other teams, that they're quite sort of defensively solid and then look to do something on the break. I think he'll be tearing his hair out. Someone who's been as good as he's been, for him to miss that chance is an absolute, is a nightmare for him. He'll be fuming. He's had a poor game. He's had a poor game today. Obviously, he's just been so influential throughout the season that I don't want to dig him out too much just for one game. But yeah. What was your analysis on the importance of Paul's role in the game tonight? Do you mean Paul Pogba? Is he a good friend of yours, is he? Who asked me that one? Ollie Jones. Paul Pogba. I thought Paul Pogba on that right-hand side, like I say, I feel like Liverpool lost their momentum once Wijnaldum wasn't able to kind of sit on him, because there was quite a few times where I think he dispossessed him. And that's obviously poor from Paul Pogba's point of view. I think in the second half of games, I think that's where you see the best of Paul Pogba, because it opens up a little bit. Those breaks are on, and he's got that quality to make those passes. And his influence in the game seems to go through the roof a lot more. And I also think he's wonderful in midfield when you're playing against a team that's going to let you have the ball. The likes of a Burnley, teams like that, where he can just pick up those passes and run the game. He's got this sort of trot. He's got this trot that I would imagine really annoys managers, because you're kind of like, well, see the danger and get back into position. Without the ball, he's a concern. With the ball, he's so brilliant that you've got to find a way to get him into that team. And this is probably the best way that Man United can do it at the moment. Fergus Collins says Robertson was always in space in the first half because Pogba was on the right. Exactly, that's what I mean. I think there were those overloads, and as soon as you move Salah and Mane, like I said in the halftime reaction, what happened then was that Robertson just wasn't involved. He just wasn't involved at all. He was. This is obviously in the second half of it, but when you move Mane and Robertson, they work together, they work in tandem, and Mane makes these runs here, which allows you to play it, or allows him to cross the ball in. But also they're all involved with each other. As soon as they swapped over, Mane came over here, Salah obviously came here. Salah drops deeper to pick the ball because he doesn't really want to run in behind. Wijnaldum has to kind of get out the way for it, be it centrally or wherever he wanted to go in the end. And Robertson, actually, once Salah got the ball, Robertson just wasn't involved, really. They weren't finding him at all. I think that was a massive mistake from Klopp. Massive mistake from Klopp today. He shouldn't have. I think it was something that was premeditated to see, and it was a big mistake for me, because I think they lost their momentum, they lost their rhythm. Man United with a better half probably in the second half of that first half, and actually the more I think about it, I feel like United were unlucky in this game. United were unlucky not to win this one. We've got ourselves our first Super Chat. Joel Morris, thank you so much for the Super Chat, mate. Appreciate it. Why did United take off Bruno at the end? Not the first time Ole's done that. I think it got to a point, probably, that, look, you had Pogba there who's going to make those driving runs. You had Rashford who's there going to help him out. But with Liverpool looking to get that victory, I think for Man United, and let me know in the chat, Man United fans, are you delighted to get a point here? Are you happy to get your point and go home? Because I feel like Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is probably absolutely delighted with that. And I think if you look at if you look at the reputations of both of them, in every game, obviously there's a winner and a loser in terms of the reputation of it, and everyone's going to be talking about one team's done bad, one team's done good, and it's always a little bit more nuanced in a 0-0. It's always a lot more nuanced than 0. Just to say, guys, 571 people watching right now. If you could like the stream, it would just be so helpful. I'm battling against, obviously, a lot of Man United channels and Liverpool channels, and trying to give you something a little bit different here. So if you are enjoying it, then please do consider hitting that like button for me, and subscribe to the channel as well. I'm so close to 69,000, so get involved. But to answer your question, Joel, when it's 0-0, yeah, like I said, one team will probably be happy with the draw. One team will be happy with taking, will be unhappy with the draw. And for me, I think Solskjaer's absolutely delighted with this. He's still 3 points clear. Of course, the main winners in all of this are Man City, and I still said it at the start of the season, and I think I said it after the transfer window as well. I still think Man City could get themselves there because they're just slowly creeping towards it, winning games sort of calmly, not overexerting themselves, using the squad quite well as well. So they're the winners really in this one. So that's why they took Bruno off, in my opinion. That's why they took Bruno off. Thank you again, Joel, for that. I really, really appreciate that. Where are we? And he was starting to kick off a little bit, wasn't he, with Wijnaldum? Did you see that moment? Get your questions in here, guys. Louis Oddy, thoughts on not starting Cavani? Surely Fabinho and Henderson were there to be ran at. I think that's my point with this. My point with Cavani is actually sometimes by standing still, you freeze the opposition. And that's what Cavani does. He sucks. Instead of Henderson and Fabinho, because they read the game and they don't have the same pace as normal centre-backs, they're on their bike. And I've got to say, I was wrong about Fabinho. I was wrong, because he has, and maybe it's one where at the start of the season and he's kind of grown into it. But I tell you what, that performance there, I've said it time and again, you can get a Fabinho. Fabinho was under a lot of pressure in this game, and he was absolutely brilliant. He was absolutely brilliant. With the fact that you've got two centre backs who are actually midfielders who've got to deal with the onslaught on those counter attacks, and to deal with it, and some of the big challenges that he makes, his reading of the game. I didn't give him credit for his reading of the game, and actually his athleticism. I think the timing of his challenges were brilliant. There was a challenge in the first half where if he doesn't make it, then he's definitely getting booking at the very least. And I'll say it. Say it with my chest. Fabinho, for me now, I understand it. He is a centre-back. He is good enough, because out of the two of them, you've got Henderson, who's a leader, who's not going to let you down. But Fabinho, he was probably the leader of those two today. And he was class. He was absolutely class. But Cavani, for me, I think that would have been... I think you would have made them think more. I think with Rashford, it was so clear. You saw all those long balls straight away. So as soon as they get the ball, you're going, right, go. A Cavani, who makes you stand still, and because you've got to mark him, and then he's got to pop the ball off to Fernandes. It also gets Fernandes involved more in the game, gets him further up the pitch. But then you've got the third runner. The third runner in football is so important. And when it's just one ball and one run, it's just so easy, isn't it? So I think it was a mistake as well. But we'll never know. We will never know. Liverpool need players. The problem they've got is just they've just been playing the same way for such a long time. They're playing for such a long time, and it's, I think that's the thing as well. The teams that are defending against them now, you know what they're trying to do, and so that's what I mean when it comes to Trent. And Trent is out of sorts, but the reason he's out of sorts is I think they're still playing the same way. He needs to just play that little pass into that channel and get Salah on the ball there, and then let Salah win a corner or destroy the left back or whoever it was. I think at times for Luke Shaw, it was a little bit easy. It was a little bit easy. Because once Trent had the ball, you're like, right, cross is coming in. Result. All I've got to worry about is Salah. He's got to kind of manoeuvre his game a little bit. And the problem is, he's such a great passer. But once he gets into the final third, that's where you're missing someone like Henderson. Because once Henderson's there, and I can show you on here, once Henderson's there, let's take Shaqiri out of this. You play Henderson instead. Henderson, he covers here. So then Alexander-Arnold can get involved and get down the line. I think with Shaqiri, when it's Shaqiri involved, then then it becomes a case of Alexander-Arnold probably wants to stay here. He doesn't want to get involved because if he loses the ball up here by making a darting run to the byline, how many of those runs are we seeing anymore from Alexander-Arnold? We're not seeing those runs to the byline. If you've got Salah over there and Shaqiri is here, obviously looking to recycle the ball, which is fine. And I know Thiago's that. And this is where you completely overload teams, possibly, if you're really brave and you just let Thiago do all of that. But I think with Shaqiri instead of Henderson comes and sits here. Shaqiri comes and sits here. And so now Arnold's a little bit nervous. And so he ends up staying a little bit deeper. And so the only thing he can do, really, is play across here or play a pass into here. I just think he needs to play across here more. And Salah, maybe, instead of getting involved further in a more narrow sense, he needs to actually come wider, because then you can have Shaqiri make those runs, maybe, or at the very least you can get one-on-one with someone, or maybe let Trent do that. That's the problem. That's again why I think you've missed something massively with not having Henderson in this midfield today. I just think that was a massive, not mistake. I just think he was nervous. He wanted a leader at centre back, and he thought he could rely on Thiago, who I thought was absolutely brilliant. I thought he was just glorious. But yeah, I think Man United will be delighted with that. You know, get out there with a draw, you're buzzing, you move on. And really, it's one of those where I think Solskjaer now is looking at games and going, can we win as long as we're not losing those games, especially when you get to the top. As long as you're at the top. Now it's a case of everyone's saying, Liverpool just need to do the same as everyone else now. Now they're top of the league. Same goes for Man United. And if Man United are drawing these games, Liverpool are going to take points off Man City. Man City are going to take points off Chelsea. Tottenham are going to take points off Man City. Do you know what I mean? Everyone's going to take points off each other. And so if Man United aren't losing those games, I think they give themselves a real shot. I think they give themselves the best shot. This is the way that he's going to play in every big game now, I think. I don't know why he would play differently against anyone else. Do you know what I mean? Right, guys. Any more questions? Any more for any more? Lots of comments, just not too many questions, which is great. Thank you everyone for watching. If you're enjoying it, hit that like button for me. Subscribe to channel as well. That would be glorious. Mathison Media, just joined, but Henderson normally does so much of Trent's covering. Just said it, bro. Completely agree with you. Also, no Virgil van Dijk means less confidence and freedom for him to go forward, playing within himself. I just think you've got to get on with it now. And I'm sure most Liverpool fans understand that. You've not got Virgil van Dijk. He's not been there for the whole season. So get on with it now. Do you know what I mean? That's why I think you could, either you go out and buy a centre-back, and I've done a video looking at all of the centre-backs that Liverpool could go and get if they wanted to, or play one of these kids, because you need Henderson in that midfield for me. You do. It's so important for him to be playing in midfield, because I just think he brings so much. And I think you're seeing that now. I don't think Virgil van Dijk's one thing, but I think you're missing Henderson, because you're utilising there, and fine, he'll do okay. I just think you get so much more from Henderson in midfield. Ifat Kazi, Manchester City clear to win the league. I don't think you can sit back on. I don't think you can expect anyone to do it just yet. I think Man City are in the best shape to do it with the players that they've got. The fact that they're winning games with that double pivot. I think they'll still get frustrated at times, but overall they've got so much quality. Foden's getting better. I think Torres can be better. Sterling can score more goals this season, and I think this is one of the seasons where you've got a setup where there are no great teams this year, but that's a Man City team. Although it's not a Man City team of the last couple of seasons, it's still a team that's better than. It's still a Man City team that has more chemistry than the Liverpool team right now, and a way of playing that, like I said, just kills team with 1,000 cuts. That's what I think Liverpool should have done in this game, and I feel like the long balls cost them. They're missing Jota. They're missing a few players. And I think this is something actually that we said in previous seasons, but it wasn't a problem for Liverpool. They don't have the same depth as other teams. They don't. They've got a glorious front three. But Firmino's struggling. Salah is struggling with confidence. No two ways about it. And Mane's a little bit frustrated at the moment as well, because you've got teams that know exactly how they're going to play. And for the first time, they're able to stop it. Liverpool club don't buy top-class players anymore. Budget is good for players like Minamino. Yeah, maybe. And that's something they just need to go and deal with. Firmino doesn't look like he could score in a Scouts Pro. I shouldn't have read that. Yeah, he's struggling for sure. They've got to pop it about. They've really got to pop it about. Curtis Jones I think he's all right, but he's still developing, isn't he? That's the problem. Again, I think Thiago's glorious. And he's such a good midfielder, and I think against other teams they're going to dominate. But I think in this way, those two other midfielders are so integral, and I feel like Klopp just stopped the influence of Wijnaldum, and I don't think they got the rhythm back on the left hand side when he was up against Pogba, and on the right hand side, Shaqiri was okay. He was okay, but he's probably not played enough games. Right. Final question, Adam Butt, opinions on McTominay today. I think he's really turning into... I'm probably going too far if I say a world-class midfielder, but I see a lot of Henderson's qualities in McTominay. That ability, that sort of defensive ability. I actually think he's got a bit more pace than him and a bit more strength. I think his physique's, he's a bit taller than Henderson. Technically, his dribbling's maybe a little bit better than Henderson as well. Can his passing be better? Yes. Can he be better on the ball in tight areas? Yes. And that's, I think, the next stage for him. But I think he's brilliant. I think he sees danger. I think he makes smart decisions in that midfield. Can you get to a point where... This thing for me with Man United, when are they going to get to a point where they can play one holding midfielder? They're not there yet. And look, to be fair, Man City aren't doing it anymore. Liverpool, I've got someone like Thiago who's just world class. But McTominay, I'd love Man United to get to a point where he's so good that you can play him there on his own. I think at the moment, when they want to be able to kind of pick up the ball and recycle it, they play Matic. Maybe alongside him, and you want a Pogba as well to do that. In the big games, they play a defensive player and Fred alongside him, who, again, it was that Arsenal game for me when they said, go on, let Fred have the ball. I don't think he won it. And he didn't. McTominay still hasn't taken that role for me. I think the only game I saw him do it was the Crystal Palace one, and they lost that game. He struggled. So yeah, I think he's great, and I think he's developing. I think he's doing brilliantly. I thought he was superb in this game, and I think he's really starting to dominate those games against the teams where they dominate the game, which I think is huge. Man of the match, who are you going with? I'm going to go with Luke Shaw. I am going to go with Luke Shaw. I think it's close between Luke Shaw. I thought McTominay was great. I thought Henderson in the situation that he's in was great, and I thought Fabinho was absolutely brilliant, and Thiago as well. There's 5. And Maguire played well as well, actually, to be fair to him. I'm going to give it to Luke Shaw, though, because I think, if Alisson has... if Salah has his way, then Shaw is in trouble. And I thought he did really well. I thought he did really, really well. Right, guys. Thank you so much for joining me. If you like the reaction this way, then like the stream for me, because that's the best way for me to know. I'm nearly on 69,000. Oh, we've got up to 68,934. If you want to get me over to 69,000, you could do that today. So anyone who's not watching this live, who's watched up to this moment, then please do me a favor, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so you don't miss the next live stream that I do. Let me know your thoughts in the actual chat as well. I'll be in the comments in just a second. Thank you for joining me, guys. Really, really appreciate it. I'll see you guys next time.